Welcome to the Geostrategic Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us. What if China's most advanced J-20 stealth fighter flew near Taiwan and no one saw it coming? In late 2025, claims emerged that a PLA Air Force J-20 operated close to Taiwan's southern coast, possibly undetected. Taiwan didn't confirm it. China didn't prove it. And that uncertainty may be the point. Because in modern air warfare, winning isn't just about missiles or radar. It's about time, perception, and hesitation. In this deep dive, we break down what this alleged J-20 flight really means for Taiwan's air defense, the Taiwan Strait crisis, and why stealth aircraft are now being used as tools of psychological and gray zone warfare. Before we dive in like this deep dive, share it with someone following Indo-Pacific security and subscribe for clear, no-nonsense analysis of modern military strategy. And I want to hear from you. Was this a real operational penetration or a calculated information warfare move? Drop your view in the comments, agree, disagree, challenge the analysis. This is one of those issues where every serious perspective matters. Let's get into it. Okay, let's unpack this. This is really about how invisibility gets weaponized, not just, technically, but inside people's heads.
Exactly. That cognitive element it's really the core of what the source material is getting at with this whole incident from late 2025.
So what exactly were the claims?
Well, the story, which got pushed out pretty heavily by China's state-linked media on December 30th, was that J-20, the Mighty Dragon, flew near Checheng Township.
And that's way down on Taiwan's southern coast in Pingtung.
Right. And the really critical part of the claim was that it was maybe even within visual range, but totally undetected by Taiwan's air defense network.
So if the whole point of an air force is to project power, why would Beijing go to all this trouble to make sure nobody can actually confirm what they did? It seems counterintuitive.
Because the goalposts have moved. Yeah. It's not just about simple power projection anymore. The real intent here is to use, invisibility,
ambiguity,
and information warfare.
All three. And it's for two main reasons. First, you want to compress Taiwan's response time. You make them second-guess everything.
And second, you want to just fundamentally erode the credibility of their early warning systems. If Taipei says, "We see everything," and Beijing can just suggest, well, you missed this, that doubt becomes the real weapon.
I see. And the source material uses this phrase, information warfare payload. That's fascinating. It's like the story itself is the missile.
It is. Think of it less like a fighter jet and more like a piece of malware for their decision-making process. The PLA uses the J-20's known stealth capabilities to make the claim plausible.
Right. It's believable.
And then they just flood their own media channels with the allegation. This forces Taiwan to burn resources, time, analysts, intelligence assets, just trying to figure out if it's true.
So it's a lose-lose for them.
Pretty much. If they confirm it, they admit Beijing has a technological edge. If they deny it, people will always wonder, what if they just missed it? It's all about instilling that deep, corrosive doubt.
And we saw Taiwan's Ministry of National Defense take a very careful position. They didn't confirm or deny anything.
Which was probably the smartest move they could make. They refused to give Beijing the validation it wanted for its narrative. But you can be sure that behind the scenes, they were running some pretty intense internal assessments.
Stress testing their own systems.
Absolutely. Reviewing every radar track, looking for gaps in their coverage, basically running a fire drill based on the possibility that it did happen.
And that pressure alone costs time and money.
It does. And this is how the PLA is using the J-20, not just as a combat plane, but as source puts it, a tool for resistance prevention. It blurs the line between a training flight and a coercive act.
Okay, so let's shift from the psychological to the operational. Let's say it did happen. Why Pingtung? What's so special about the southern coast?
The choice of location is extremely strategic. It tells you exactly what they'd be aiming for in the first hours of a conflict. Pingtung is right next to some of Taiwan's most important air bases and command and control nodes, C2 nodes. These are the facilities that are absolutely vital to Taiwan's ability to get its jets in the air.
And when you say get its jets in the air, you're talking about sortie generation.
Exactly. Sortie generation.
Yeah.
It's the whole cycle. How fast can you get planes armed, fueled, off the ground, into the fight, and back to do it all again? If you can break that cycle in the first day or two,
you've essentially crippled their air force.
You've seriously weakened their ability to fight back. So this So-called undetected invasion is basically a dress rehearsal for taking out those capabilities right at the start.
And doing that with a low-loss profile, as the sources say, that's not just about the plane itself, right? That has to involve some incredible planning.
Oh, meticulous planning. You're exploiting the physics of the environment. You have to account for things like maritime turbulence that can mess with radar. You use the dense civil air traffic to hide.
Mask your approach.
Right? And you use the island's own mountains for landform protection. All these things work together to degrade Taiwan's ability to see what's coming and shrink their decision window.
Which brings us to the J-20 itself. What makes the Mighty Dragon the perfect tool for this kind of silent hunt?
Well, the J-20 is built from the ground up for this kind of penetration mission. Its entire shape is optimized for front sector invisibility, so it's incredibly hard to spot coming at you.
And it's not just the shape, I assume.
No, it's also radar-absorbing materials, integrated emissions control. But the real game changer is how it combines its sensors.
Tell me about the sensor package.
Okay, so it has a really advanced AESA radar, but it doesn't always have to use it. It integrates that with a very sophisticated electro-optical targeting system, or EOTs.
Which means it can detect things passively.
Exactly. Traditional radar is like shining a huge flashlight in a dark room. Everyone sees you. Passive detection with EOTs is like using a thermal scope. The J-20 can see the heat from an enemy tanker or an AWACS-DS plane without ever turning on its own active radar.
So it stays hidden, a silent hunter. It can take out the enemy's eyes and its fuel tankers with those PL-15 missiles before the main fight even begins.
That's the idea. Its main value is shaping the battlefield before the first shots are even fired. The fact that they're potentially practicing this near Pingtung shows a high degree of confidence that they can pull it off in a real scenario.
And connecting this to the bigger picture, this isn't some isolated incident, is it? The source material makes it clear this is part of a much longer pattern.
A very clear pattern. You have to look at the timeline. Before 2016, you'd see, symbolic flights across the median line. They were episodic, purely political messaging.
And then after 2016?
After Tsai Ing-wen's election, the frequency just shot up. The flights became more complex, more widespread. That's when you see this shift from sending a message to real operational conditioning.
And then post-2022, it's like the median line just ceased to exist for them.
That's right. It went from being episodic to being a near permanent forward presence, just part of their daily routine now. And this is that process of strategic normalization. By constantly claiming these J-20 flights happened, they're trying to build a perception of technological dominance.
They want to make the unthinkable seem normal, so an actual escalation feels like just another Tuesday.
You got it. The goal is what they call psychological familiarization. If they keep pushing the envelope, future coercive actions seem less extraordinary, less surprising. The political cost for them to do something really aggressive starts to go down.
And this flight, or alleged flight, also lines up with that big Justice Mission 2025 exercise. What was the focus there?
That exercise was huge. It covered everything from sanctions enforcement to air dominance.
Yeah.
But the key part was that it explicitly trained for compressed warning scenarios.
Scenarios just like this one.
Precisely. They're using their air power to shape what the entire region expects. They're creating a sense of inevitability and control.
Okay, so what does this all mean for Taiwan's defenses, for its allies? How do you even begin to counter invisibility?
Well, Taiwan has invested a lot. You have the upgraded F-16Vs, the T-Dome defense concept, which layers things like NATHMs, Patriot PAC-3. It's a very dense air defense shield.
But all of that still runs up against the basic physics of trying to detect a stealth aircraft. So what's their most critical countermeasure?
It's a shift in thinking, from active to passive detection. The F-16V fleet in particular is being geared towards techniques that let them trail PLA aircraft while staying electronically silent themselves.
So they're listening instead of shouting.
That's a great way to put it. If you light up your own powerful radar, you're just giving away your position, and you still might not even see the J-20. By focusing on passive sensing, they buy themselves precious time.
Because this whole strategy is designed to attack their decision-making time, not just their hardware. It shifts the burden of escalation right onto Taiwan's commanders.
And that's the ultimate stress test. It creates this crushing operational burden. Leaders have to make these split-second calls based on ambiguous data. Do you scramble your jets for a ghost on the screen? If you don't, you risk a real penetration. If you do, you're burning fuel and exhausting your pilots over what might be a bluff.
That pressure cooker environment makes a miscalculation almost inevitable.
It dramatically increases the risk. And it's not just testing Type A. It's also a stress test on the whole alliance structure, especially the U.S.
Oh, so?
Beijing is trying to find out systematically if they can use these gray zone tactics to slowly shift the military balance without triggering a big coordinated response from the U.S. and its partners. For Washington, it creates this real tension. How do you maintain a credible deterrent, which means drawing clear red lines, when your adversary is deliberately making those lines as blurry as possible?
And if Beijing does manage to assert control over that airspace, what are the ripple effects for the rest of the Western Pacific?
The implications are huge. It fundamentally complicates everything the Allies do in the region: power projection, maritime access, and the entire dispute zone expands. If the U.S. can't guarantee air security near Taiwan, the strategic calculus for Japan, the Philippines, everyone, it changes overnight.
So what's the path forward? Is it just about more hardware, or is something more fundamental needed to win back that decision-making time?
It's about integration and resilience. It's not just buying more sensors, it's about building a distributed, hard-to-kill system. Taiwan needs to invest more in asymmetric countermeasures.
Like what?
Things like more dispersed air bases so they don't have all their eggs in a few baskets, and more resilient command and control networks that can take a hit and keep functioning. They have to deny the J-20 its primary advantage, which is the ability to decapitate a centralized defense system. And this all raises a really important point. In today's information environment, as the source material notes, narratives just move faster than radar tracks. The shadow of that J-20 near Pingtung is less about the technical limits being tested and much, much more about the strategic conclusions being planted in the minds of leaders across the entire Indo-Pacific. So the credibility of actually preventing a conflict now depends on a real, tangible alignment between what countries say, what they do with their military posture, and how they plan to respond in a crisis.
That is a profound place to leave it. The idea that perception and alignment are just as critical as the hardware itself. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the high-stakes air domain over the Taiwan Strait. And if you enjoyed this analysis, please be sure to subscribe and check out our other deep dives for clear, no-nonsense insights into the complex issues shaping our world. We really appreciate you watching. See you in the next one.